All of the views and opinions expressed here are those of the individual speaking and may not be representative of Konig American. At times, language may be considered vulgar. Listener discretion is suggested.
You are now listening to the Konig Behind the Wheel podcast.
So, moving away from the engine talk, I guess, this going into your second year now, what kind of other changes besides, I think at this point, right, you got the engine kind of, there was no more advancement there, right? Like you guys spent a lot of time last year kind of getting it up to snuff. So moving into this, into this second year, what other improvements and things are being made from the learning curve you guys had last year in Pro?
I think the biggest thing now is now that I've driven all of the tracks, I've gotten data from last year.
Right.
Three or four of the 8 tracks that we went, for Pro 1 last year are tracks that I had never driven before. And so any amount of, data that I had would be from other drivers, with, other teams, different chassis, different people's setups, different driving styles, and like that. So, any little bit of help that, people that are willing to give me was great, but it's unfortunately something you can only take with a grain of salt.
Because every platform is so different.
Exactly, and then everyone has their own style as well. So at least now I've got data from all around to kind of go into, and I've at least gotten the jitters of, taking that first entry at Long Beach straight up the wall,
right.
Past me. So now I can go in with the chassis I'm actually more comfortable in and have had more seat time in to be able to go in and dial in my line and everything, quicker with that to get ready for qualifying. But as far as like moving into next year, our main focus is really just we're working on figuring out the issues we have with the head gasket on the engine to make sure that we've got reliability set to be 100%. Of 8 rounds, that we had the unfortunate issue of the engine locking up before the round even started in Long Beach.
Yeah.
But then once we got that engine in, we had it pretty much dialed the whole year as far as power. I didn't have any, at any point was I ever going, man, I feel too slow. It was always like, maybe we can, dial some grip out here or something like that. Like the car had what it wanted there. It's just I needed to get comfortable with it and, get myself ready to, for what it was actually capable of now. It was a big jump from Pro 2 because we limited the tire size in Pro 2.
Yeah.
So, and then I changed brands from going Pro 2 to Pro 1. So
right.
That was a different thing as well. So.
Well, and what's interesting is I swear that the car got faster as the season went. When I look at the car and see, I don't know why Seattle stands out in my head so much, but in the infield in Seattle, I felt like that car, it would be like you would be, not trying to throw you a dig, but like you would be, a few lengths off, and out of nowhere you'd be like right on the door, and I'm like, that's incredible. It would like the car would just lurch.
From Seattle on, I think I finally started getting comfortable with having the tires a little bit lower in pressure and the
right.
shocks a little softer to really get the car up. And from that point on, it was just like the car has it. It can do what I need it to do. I just need to make sure that I'm ready for it. And so I think Seattle is when I really started to get comfortable with it. And every round since then, we just kind of started dialing a little bit more in it, and started, doing better and progressing more, with it. And like St. Louis was able to get it one more time against Forest. We go into, Texas and gave a killer run against, Peter Wyshek and able to get a one more time run with him again. And unfortunately, going into the second runs, I got super amped, super jittery, and ended up making my mistakes, which unfortunately knocked me out of the battles. But it was, it was there, and I think raised a lot of eyebrows from people that were like, "Wow, that car actually does, have speed, and it is coming together." So
yeah, it was the fastest I think I can remember seeing the car where it was like you could really look it down and go, "Wow!" Like you can. It was so visible. It was so easy to see how much speed that car really was capable of.
Yeah, the car has a lot in it, and there's even still more to be had out of it. It's just a matter of me getting, in the car, with enough practice at each round to really get comfortable and to push it, that 110% to really get it to its limits. Cause it's, like I said, with the live stream, people don't get, how fast you're going at some of the stuff. And it's, as a driver, like sometimes you go throw it in some turns and you're like, well, we'll see what happens. You're
right.
coming in super hot, and it's it's kind of scary at times, but it's also it's an adrenaline rush too.
Are there any tracks, and I mean, obviously one sticks out in my head, but are there any tracks that you're kind of looking forward to hitting for the second time? Almost like to take a little bit of redemption, like, hey, I got my bearings on. We have some things together now, and I got some experience there.
I would say it'd be Long Beach.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would have guessed. If I had to guess, I would have guessed Long Beach too, but I didn't want to throw it out there first.
Yeah, I mean, Long Beach definitely just because, my first run at it wasn't with the ideal setup that we were hoping to have with it.
Yeah.
But St. Louis, really, too.
Yeah.
That track was a lot of fun and super fast, and it was one of the ones where, like, I didn't really start getting, I don't think, super comfortable in the seat until it was, like, right time for battles. And that's where, and it showed, then I was able to earn the one more time call and kind of go through it again. That track, being it was a new one too, it was kind of nice level playing field because no one had
seen it before.
Yeah, so that was super fun, and I think that's one I'd really like to go at next year with more level head at it and going, all right, cool, I know I can do good here. Let's really dial everything in and get it set up.
If people don't follow you on social media, they probably won't know this, but you spent some time this year drifting overseas. You went over to the UK. What were some of the differences that you saw in the drift scene over here and then over there?
Over there, I liked it a lot. The tracks over there are a lot smaller. They just usually have those for like demos and stuff. Cause I think the Silverstone event is one that they do out there. And so we get to run the actual Silverstone track, and that's like a pretty fast track. We get 100-something mile an hour entries and stuff out there. So they do have fast tracks, but they're just not set up yet, for the actual competition side of it. It's more kind of demo stuff. So like the main, difference for like competition side is they're not really far behind us as far as like car setups go. A lot of the cars out there are built to, I think minimum like are like Pro 2, I would say equivalent.
Okay.
And some of them are even built with like our Pro 1 budgets. Kind of competitive built into it. Like there's a handful of cars out there that are, just insanely, amazingly built cars, and they're either coming from UK or some of the other, East European countries over there, whether it's Germany or something like that. They're coming over and driving, the UK events. And even Ireland, those guys too have just some amazing builds. And, over there, it's so easy for them to travel in between countries, and everything's so small too. I hear them complain, my friends know when they have to go up to drive like a Scotland event and they're down by London. It's like an 8-hour drive.
Right.
Well, I got to drive 8 hours. I'm like, that's,
nothing.
That's me.
Right.
That's my second closest event. You guys are worried about driving 8 hours.
Right.
But, no, it's fun over there. They do a lot of, similar stuff. They get practice sessions, they do qualifying. The thing that I thought was really cool was, after qualifying, they do, like a driver meet and greet. And all the drivers bring out the cars actually onto the track, and they open up the track for anyone and everyone, spectators to come out and get, close to the cars, talk to the drivers. That's the opportunity time for certain drivers. If they're, selling merch, they can do that out there as well. They still have the open pit concept, but when all the cars are like there next to each other, it's kind of cool when they come out. Plus, the fans actually getting out to be able to come out and actually walk on the track is super cool, because that doesn't usually happen at a lot of places either.
Right. Oh yeah.
Some smaller venues, some bigger venues that they have than us and all, but it's kind of the same feel. I think just the only, main difference is that we have quite a lot more tracks that are higher pace, higher speed than what they do, but their cars, I'd say 90% of those cars are capable of running our tracks and actually being, pretty competitive with it.
From my standpoint, and, kind of just being on social media with you and different things, one of the things I really liked about your trip was it seemed to be a really good mental transition for you. Like, it seemed like, you were having some mental, I don't want to call them, struggles, just things you were kind of working on, in your own head, and then being able to take that breath of fresh air and kind of go get back to whatever fun of it or whatever it was and experience something else. When you came back, it seemed like you were really more invigorated and excited to take on competition again.
Yeah. No, over there it was like the breath of fresh air kind of thing. Like it went over there and it was just like, it's still a competition, still take it serious, but it was just like, it was a whole different atmosphere.
Right.
And I don't know if just seeing, the different scales, because a lot of FD events are, I think a bit bigger fan base and stuff like that than like over there. So it was just like that kind of put in perspective that, they have a great series and it's well run and well maintained and all that, but then it just kind of shows that, wow, FD really is, a bit of a step up from there.
Right.
But those, like I said, those guys in the cars and stuff over there, like everyone's super nice, and FD, for the most part, I could say like a lot of drivers and teams, we all get along and all that, but like when it comes competition time, everyone's kind of, tightening up a bit and,
Yeah.
not wanting to, because everyone's out there to win, and over there it was kind of like more like everyone, yeah, we want to go out there and win, but they're out there like, they're driving for fun as well too.
Right.
Like, it's crazy to see, like, FD, a lot of guys, like, you go into Thursday practice, we kind of take it easy, first lap out, if they're following, they'll give the guy a little bit of space and then kind of take their run, not kind of put pressure on each other right then there to get comfortable. These guys, we go into practice the day I was out there on Saturday. I mean, the second you're out of the gate, they're drag racing you out of the end and just entering right on your door and bumping
Right.
you to the first turn. And it's like, these guys are so eager, for that win. And it's just like the spirit and everything there was like super uplifting, because these guys are out there just pushing and pushing super hard. And, and then it's like, I've seen out there a couple of guys had issues with cars, and, 2 and 3 different other teams are running over. I got this spare part. If you need it, if you need this, let me know. Hey, let me help you get under the car and, change his drive shaft out, or, something like that. So
Right.
it was cool to see, all that as well, because it's, it is still competitive, but it is almost like that grassroots feel. Everyone wants to, go out there and win, but they also want to have one of the best battles in order to do so. They don't want to just go out there and get, a buy run, or, a guy crashed or he's not able to pull the line because he broke a transmission or something like that. Like, everyone's out there, they just want to go have an insanely awesome run and then earn the win that way.
Yeah. So it really was a breath of fresh air to kind of get over there and just have a different outlook on it and kind of take well, I don't know if it's called a break, but kind of transition to something else and just look at it from a different set of eyes, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. Yeah. And to see, how things are run differently from the outside is cool too. And, because I went out there and we were able to run, the BDC Pro Series, then I was able to sit back and watch the pro, like their Pro-Am, which is
Right.
like our 2 run and all that. And it's, it's cool to see just the different series and how it's run and their different types of how to judge and everything like that is, some stuff's like different, and some, like, a lot of stuff I agree with, some stuff I'm like, oh, that's different than ours. I don't know how I feel about that. But then after watching like how the event ran, I was like, wow, that is a whole different perspective of how we do it.
Right. What kind of things were really different, that you can remember compared to where we're at here?
The thing that they do is like, right, I think it's in between the battles, is they announce like an advantage to the drivers, whatever. So like they'll
Okay.
go out on battle. They'll say, all right, that first battle would be a 7-3 advantage to this driver,
Okay.
and then information is like quickly relayed to the driver. So you go and you run. If you're like the lead car, obviously you don't really know too much of what the guy behind you is doing, and the guy at the start line he'll look at you and be like 3, look at the other guy and say 7, then you go, okay, he must have been all over my door, had a great follow run.
Oh, that's interesting.
I need to do the same thing. So it kind of gives you a little bit of a
Heads up.
heads up too. But I think FD used to do that years ago before I was really into driving, and I think the drivers that had a great first run were taking advantage of that, like if they were in the lead position first, and then just doing like, oh, I had like a 7-3, I'm just going to run a mediocre kind of follow run
Yeah.
and not really push it because I know I have the advantage.
Right.
But they're like, they're telling these guys this and they just don't care. They're just going right back out and driving, going the other guy back again. Even if they had the advantage in the first one, they're
So-
just super aggressive.
What do you think about that? Do you think that's do you feel that coming from your side of things here that's good for the driver, that's good for the battle, that's good for the kind of people, the spectators watching it, or do you think that it's kind of a little bit of a
It can go either way. I personally liked it. I think it would be something cool to bring back and maybe have, and especially too because it's kind of like it's announced to like the spectators and
Right.
on their live stream as well. So people that are just kind of getting into the sport, they watch a first battle and there's a quick little rundown. Oh yeah, we deemed it, a 7-3 or an 8-2, and this is why. They get a quick little rundown, and then boom, the other half of the battle starts. So it's like,
Right.
oh, that's why that one was there. FD's stepping up now, and they're trying to do a lot more commentating with like their qualifying scores and why we, gave this guy a lower score here and this guy a higher score here. So that stuff too that I wish, I think that over there, I don't think they did as much overseas. So that's something that can maybe learn from us, and we can maybe take some stuff back. Which I know, like FD, a lot of the judges, like Ryan, he's traveling a bunch and he's checking out
a lot.
Russia and Oman and all this, like all these other places, China and all that. He's how things are running, and I think he's taken a lot of information. He's working to, bring some stuff that he likes and run it by the other judges and Formula D to kind of bring that up and help bring our series up as well.
Well, I think that's where FD doesn't get enough credit. As many people as kind of will beat them up, I think to their credit, they've done a very good job over the past few years of trying to define the lines and make the sport less of a mystery. They've tried to make it so that, whether it be the live stream and the announcing and kind of having Ryan in the booth at the same time with Jared, but to be able to provide enough feedback to the drivers and to the crowd alike to understand why this was judged that way. Because if not, it's just this endless, kind of stone-throwing thing that goes back and forth, and everybody sits there and argues about what the call was,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
no, it definitely helped with them bringing that up and giving a lot more explanations. And now, they show I think the acceleration, deceleration maps. I think they show on the live stream now for what we have to buy when we're out for qualifying and when we're going up for battles and such. So,
which is still something that is the most simple, but yet the most difficult thing, I think, to understand and appreciate from a spectating standpoint, right? Very easy to look at the map and understand, all right, gas here, no gas here, right? But very tough to understand when you're not in the car at how that kind of translates to how your car maneuvers and kind of where that car. And I remember the best example I have is listening to Nate get out of the car last year, and he was having a problem in Wall. It was in Wall, New Jersey, right in when they come off the bank into that infield. There's that weird horseshoe type of thing there.
Yep.
And I remember him saying I know it's supposed to be like a decel zone, but he's but every time I try to, kind of transition in the car, he's it's just really messing with me. You know what I mean? And I remember thinking yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You kind of have your own driving style and then you're trying to change the way your car maneuvers with, with power. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's they, obviously the judges, when they go out, we get Thursday practice for the Pro 1 class to kind of set up the track. Obviously we've been to a lot of these tracks before, so everything's set up for previous years. But judging, curriculum and all that, they change it ever so slightly every year, and debatable between driver and opinion. It's either for the better or for the worse, but they are constantly trying to adjust to make things better. So every Thursday practice we go out there, we get to run laps. Sometimes, they're all right, we've deemed that this area here, you have to, do this, or we added this extra clip. And sometimes, we'll have meetings throughout that, or halfway through that practice, the judges will be like, nobody's making it out there, safely, or they're not making it out there and making it look proper. It looks like they're having to really drive the cars out there, and it's not looking smooth. It's not looking like what the sport, like what drifting is. It's looking like they're just trying to, race to this front clip, try and, drag the car out wide to hit this other clip and then get back in. So sometimes throughout Thursday practice, they'll just see how the cars are going. If no one's really getting something that they've changed from previous years, they'll usually pull it within maybe the first half hour of practice.
Right.
And then someone walk through to all the drivers in their cars and say, yeah, we took that out. It didn't work out. So, go back to previous year's setup,
right.
And all that. So then it's, usually helps. And, for rookies and all that, it's a little tougher, but if it's a new track on Thursday, we have a meeting before that practice. Usually we don't have a meeting on Thursday practice, but they've been doing it more often recently with the Pro 1 guys, just because they've been doing small changes to the tracks last year. So,
yeah.
So it kind of helps.
I think it's necessary. It's kind of that instantaneous feedback to try to see how they could try to make everything better especially for the drivers. So
Yeah.